air there is.
So it's a very natural way of approaching the instrument.
We're going to do something which might be a little strange. We are going to try to create soundscapes for different things, like ice. And then Anne and John have chosen some texts that resonate with
I'm Linda Pearse. I'm an artistic director of Sacabuche, an early music ensemble. And in this role here for this workshop, I am the artistic director of a larger project. We organize this workshop to bring together artists and scholars from different communities, from very different artistic disciplines and scholarly disciplines, to collaborate for a weekend. And I guess there are two main objectives. The first objective is to create a space in which we can meet each other and explore our creativity, share knowledge, and try to create something together. And the second goal would be to explore the possibility of potential future collaborations, where we use sound and music and words to explore cultural exchange in a historical and present-day context. For this particular workshop, we brought Joel Miller, a composer and jazz saxophone player from Montreal. He was born in Sackville, so that was a nice connection to New Brunswick. We invited two Indigenous musicians, Hubert Francis and Angee Acquin, to join us as well. They are both singers and drummers. We also have two scholars with us, Anne Waltner and John Watkins. And we brought the musicians of my early music ensemble, Sacabuche, to come. So we have Baroque violins and sackbuts, which are an early form of the trombone, and we have an organ and theorbo. And our wonderful New Brunswick singer, Vicky St. Pierre, with us.
And this ceremony is used as a purification.
So I do my hands. For me, it's to remind myself to do good with my hands. That they're not there to harm anybody, that they're there to help somebody, whether it's to scratch their head or to give them a hug, whatever it may be. So it's that reminder. Then I do my hair. Hair is important to us because it holds our senses. You do your eyes so that you can see things with a pure heart. And we give thanks for the gift of sight. I come from St. Mary's. My nation is the Wolastoq, which commonly is referred to as Maliseet. My music comes from here. But one of the reasons why we use a feather too is to, reminding us to speak from our heart. And also that the eagle flies the closest to the Creator. So our messages are heard. You ever see when an eagle's flying and it disappears for a few seconds? It's our teachings that when the eagle disappears, it's sharing our messages. So you're welcome to use the feather if you want. Thank you very much.
Angee brought a feather with her, and she offered it to us. She said, this is a feather that we hold when we're speaking. And everybody took part in that, and I guess it unified us. It brought us together. It was a nice gesture.
Music saved me, truly, and I honor that every time I pick up the instruments.
I picked up an instrument very late in my life. I picked my first guitar when I was 16. And so that is fairly late about when you're trying to go into a professional career.
What we found as we went around the circle was our shared passion for music, and that regardless of which discipline we were coming from, whether it was Indigenous and traditional drumming or whether it was Baroque music, the way and the words we used to describe that connection were similar. And I think the experience, I can safely say, was very moving for everyone in the room.
Music got me through a lot of, it was like my psychiatrist. So to me, music is it's a spiritual ceremony. It's medicine. and you have to treat it like medicine. It becomes from a sacred place, so it's a sacred gift.
So there's two parts. So we can sing the first part, and then there's a. So my inspiration for this is it's kind of a chant. One group is singing the ole part, and then I thought the instruments could do this part. And there's a bass part too. Do you want to do the bass? Initially, when Linda told me about the instruments in this project, I was a little bit concerned about the amount of time that I would need, because it's never been done before. It's a very unique instrumentation. So a practical side of me thought, well, I'm going to need lots of time to do this, to do it well. But as the reality of this workshop became apparent, I realized that I could just try a different approach, which is to be more inclusive to everybody's talents and everybody's different approaches to playing.
But now I'm going to play it with Vicky because Vicky.
So I decided to work on music without written music.
Choosing Joel Miller, it was an intuitive choice, really. I thought, oh my goodness, I really, really want to do this. I live in New Brunswick. We have Indigenous cultures here. How can I engage with them musically? And I thought, I was worried that our group, the way a Baroque ensemble makes music, would just be too disparate. I didn't know how to bring those two together. And I think I realized that I am not the person who can do that.
To me, that's the purpose of the workshop, is to go beyond established ways of creating together and to try to come up with something that's more inclusive.
When I write these scripts, what I'm interested in doing is juxtaposing texts that respond to one another or argue with one another or make you think about things in a different way. And when I write a script, I'm trying to open. I'm Ann Waltner, and I teach in the history department at the University of Minnesota. And my role in this workshop is to bring the words. This is primarily a workshop about music and musical collaboration. But one of the things that we will be doing ultimately in the project is layering words and texts over the music that we're producing. Rule 23, the guardian shall keep 25 lamps burning throughout the night. Rule.
If we did that again, and then Anne and John, they don't have. You don't really have a sacred text or anything that we could, but it doesn't matter at this point. I just want to hear what the text sounds like.
Anne and I have collaborated for several years together on a variety of interdisciplinary projects, and we both like combining words and music and sounds in creative ways to tell a different type of story than is usually told. And I think that's what we're trying to do here.
How do we know the stories?
How do we find the stories?
How do we tell the stories?
Yeah, so that's bravo. That's.
You know what, though? I was thinking residential schools, because I keep thinking about my great aunt. She died at residential school in Shubenacadie, and her body was never found. And my grandmother held that, because it was her responsibility to look after her sister at resi school, right? So she held that her entire life. She left the community, she couldn't come back. When she was about 70-some, she said, I want to come home. But knowing like my father was never able to let go, because my dad was given away, all as a direct result of residential school. So it's like, so hearing, him singing this and hearing this Catholic, beautiful chant, and having myself being so like, frig, it's beautiful, but holy fuck, I hate it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's, so that's where I'm at right now. So just to take you all there with me just for a second.
So I think one of the things I'm aware of, and I'm sure you are aware of, is that there is a lot of power in mixing these materials, and there's also, with that comes a lot of responsibility to do it in a way that is respectful and yeah, I mean, your reaction is that.
My first comment
Yes.
was that.
To me, when we talked about it, yeah, and I let Hubert know that we were going to do it. I asked him permission in advance to see.
We can work something about the residential schools into the text.
Yeah.
And we should,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How do we know the stories? How do we find the stories? And how do we tell the stories? Sorry, it came out kind of angry, didn't it?
No, that was yeah, and it was actually really nice to have the chant disappear and have your voice.
Yeah.
It gives it a very different dynamic, and it establishes this voice as the I don't know, the present voice.
One of the things that is very different about this project than about the earlier two projects is, I think, the role of the present in the project. The earlier two projects were interested in the intersections of past and present, but it was almost like the present was an echo of the past. We were really residing in the past. But I think in this project we may begin with the present and then sort of explore the past through the eyes of the present in ways that are quite different than the way we've worked before. And that's an insight that we have come to through this process of workshopping.
And then we do the page down. Yeah.
For me, my experience with music and with this type of project, these interdisciplinary projects that bring together people from disparate musical cultures, is linked to my experience of being a foreigner, because I lived outside of Canada for approximately 20 years, and in various countries in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, and in the United States. So I developed a sense of what it is to be other, what it is to be different, and how to negotiate that within yourself, and to learn what you are giving up of yourself when you join another culture, and to learn what you really can't give up and where to draw those lines. So negotiating those boundaries and those complex intercultural relationships is something that lies near and dear to my heart, and I think it
now in retrospect explains the past projects that Ann Waltner and I have created together, because they are all linked through different approaches to dealing with identity.